Welcome to the Deep Dive. We take stacks of research, reports, all sorts of sources, and, well, we pull out the key insights for you. Today we're digging into something that might sound a bit dry at first, maybe. Educational furniture.
Right. Desks, chairs, that sort of thing.
Exactly. But stick with us, because the global market for this stuff actually tells a fascinating story about the future of learning. Just to give you the scale here, we're talking about a market that pulled in nearly $6.4 billion back in 2021. That's according to Cognitive Market Research.
Yeah, that's already a pretty substantial number.
It is, and it doesn't stop there. Projections show it jumping to over $7.8 billion by 2025.
Okay.
And then soaring, really, to almost $11.8 billion by 2033.
Wow.
That's a compound annual growth rate, a CAGR, of over 5%. Pretty steady climb.
That is significant growth, so it's clearly not just replacing old desks.
Right. So the big question we want to unpack for you is, what does this multi-billion-dollar market for, well, school furniture actually tell us about where education is heading?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Because, these aren't just inanimate objects sitting in a classroom. This market growth, it's like a window, really, into how societies globally are thinking about and investing in learning environments.
A window, I like that.
It reflects these deeper shifts, new ways of teaching that need different kinds of spaces, big investments in putting tech into the classroom, and just this general push to modernize schools.
So it's about adapting the physical space for new needs.
Precisely. It shows a really dynamic approach to building the places where learning actually happens.
Okay, so let's break it down. Where is this growth happening? Let's go region by region, maybe start with North America. It's a huge piece of the pie.
Definitely a major player.
Yeah, the numbers show it was worth almost $2.4 billion in 2021, and it's projected to grow to well over $4 billion by 2033.
Right.
The U.S. is the giant, obviously, about $1.97 billion in 2021, climbing to $3.4 billion. But Canada and Mexico, they're showing solid growth, too. Canada going from about $219 million to $423 million.
Yeah, and Mexico from around $190 million to $341 million. So steady upward trends there, too.
So what's driving it in a, relatively mature market like North America? Is it just replacing old stuff, or is it those new teaching methods you mentioned?
It's definitely more than just replacement. A huge factor in North America is this move towards what educators call active learning classrooms.
Active learning?
Yeah, think flexible spaces, furniture isn't bolted down anymore, it's modular, often on wheels, easy to reconfigure.
Ah, okay. So a teacher can switch things up easily.
Exactly. You might go from a lecture format to small group work, then maybe individual study pods, all in one class period. That needs totally different furniture than the old fixed rows.
And probably furniture that accommodates devices, laptops, tablets.
Absolutely. Integrated power, data ports, that's becoming standard. It's a complete rethinking of the classroom layout.
Makes sense. Okay, let's hop across the Atlantic. Europe, also seeing some really substantial growth. Look at about $1.35 billion in 2021, projected to hit over $2.37 billion by 2033. So nearly doubling there as well.
Another big jump.
Yeah, and you've got the UK, Germany, France as major players. Germany's quite large, $328 million heading towards $609 million.
Right.
UK around $188 million to $343 million. France, $158 million to $258 million. But it's broad. Italy, Spain reaching over $200 million each by 2033.
And even smaller markets contribute significantly.
Yeah, you see Russia, Sweden, Denmark, Switzerland, even Luxembourg showing growth. The rest of Europe category is still nearly $300 million.
It's interesting because Europe has such diverse educational systems, right?
True. So what's driving it there? Is it the same active learning trend, or are there different things at play between, say, Germany and maybe Eastern Europe?
That's a good point. There's definitely diversity. The overall theme is modernization, yes, but the specifics can differ. In places like, say, Germany or Scandinavia, you often see a real focus on cutting-edge ergonomics, sustainability, and furniture designed for very specific teaching styles, maybe like forest schools or specialized vocational training centers.
Okay.
Whereas in other parts, maybe some areas in Eastern or Southern Europe, the growth might be more about fundamental upgrades, building new schools where needed, or bringing older buildings up to modern standards for the first time, equipping them properly.
So consistent investment, but maybe with slightly different priorities based on the country's context.
Exactly. But the overall trajectory is clearly towards upgrading learning spaces.
Right. Now, here's where, as I mentioned, it gets really interesting. Asia Pacific.
Ah, yes. The growth engine.
Totally. This region is just booming. Fastest growth globally by a good margin. It goes from about $1.64 billion in 2021, projected to more than double to over $3.36 billion by 2033.
That's a massive leap and a strong CAGR, right?
Yeah, over 6%. China's huge, obviously. $506 million to over $1 billion by 2033. Japan's substantial, too, nearing half a billion. But look at India, $182 million in 2021, projected to hit $420 million. That's a CAGR of over 7%.
Incredible growth in India.
And South Korea, Australia, Singapore, Southeast Asia as a bloc, all showing really strong expansion. Taiwan, too.
So what's the story behind the surge in Asia Pacific? Is it just population growth demanding more schools? Or is it that tech integration push?
That's what's so fascinating. It seems to be both, happening at a massive scale.
Right. You've got enormous populations, especially youth populations, and rapidly expanding middle classes demanding better education access. That means building countless new schools.
So huge demand for just basic, functional, durable furniture.
Exactly. Foundational stuff. But at the same time, especially in economies like China, South Korea, Japan, Singapore, you're seeing this huge push towards advanced digital learning environments.
Like interactive whiteboards, one-to-one device programs.
Precisely, which demands furniture that supports that tech, collaborative setups, ergonomic designs for digital use. India is a great example, both needing to equip schools for millions and leapfrogging into digital education tech.
So it's this dual wave of basic provision and advanced modernization happening simultaneously.
Yeah, the scale of investment across the region is just, well, immense. They are really building for the future, you could say.
Okay, let's shift gears. South America. Steady growth there, too.
Consistent increase.
From just over $400 million in 2021 up to nearly $770 million projected for 2033. Brazil's the largest, $160 million to $302 million.
Right.
Argentina, Colombia, also significant contributors, both over $100 million by 2033. Peru, Chile adding to the mix as well.
So what are the key drivers there? Is it similar to Asia Pacific, or are there unique factors?
It seems like a mix of things. Urbanization is a big factor.
Yeah.
More people moving to cities means more demand for schools and urban centers.
Okay, building capacity.
Yeah, and also a real push across the continent to increase access to formal education, reaching areas that maybe didn't have good access before.
So expanding the system overall.
Right, which means building new schools, expanding existing ones, and just generally improving the quality of the infrastructure.
So the demand there might be more focused on, say, durable, versatile furniture for diverse student populations.
Seems likely. Furniture that can handle large numbers and maybe varied conditions.
Makes sense.
Okay, next up, the Middle East, also showing healthy growth, a CAGR over 5%, going from around $337 million in 2021 to a projected $639 million by 2033. Saudi Arabia leads, nearly doubling its market.
Yeah, $96 million to $183 million.
Turkey is significant too, over $100 million. And the UAE shows strong growth, $55 million to $112 million. Egypt, Qatar also contributing.
Now, the Middle East, many countries there have these big national visions, often focused on diversifying away from oil, building knowledge economies.
Right, like smart cities and innovation hubs.
Exactly. So how does that connect to furniture? Are they investing in really high-tech learning spaces?
It seems so. The growth appears tied to those ambitions. Huge government investments in building really state-of-the-art educational facilities.
Okay.
Think advanced science labs, coding centers, collaborative project rooms. So the demand is likely for high-tech, maybe high-design furniture that fits that future-ready image.
Supporting innovation and competitiveness on a global scale.
Yeah, furniture as part of building a modern knowledge economy.
Interesting connection.
Finally, let's touch on Africa. Steady growth here as well, nearly 5% CAGR.
Okay.
The market grew from about $248 million in 2021, projected to reach over $467 million by 2033.
So almost doubling, too.
Yeah. South Africa is a major player, more than doubling its market from $105 million to $211 million. Nigeria also sees significant growth, hitting $73 million.
And the rest of Africa category is substantial, too.
It is, reaching $182 million. So what's the context for Africa's growth? Is it primarily about expanding basic access?
Largely, yes, especially in rapidly growing nations like Nigeria and even in South Africa. A lot of the growth is driven by the fundamental need to expand educational access, increasing enrollment in primary and secondary schools, building schools in growing urban areas, but also reaching rural communities.
So getting more kids into schools and needing the basic infrastructure.
Exactly. It's often about providing good quality, functional furniture for this expanding student base. just ensuring kids have a proper desk and chair that's a vital first step for a good learning environment.
Foundational development, really.
Right. Building the necessary infrastructure to support educational goals.
Okay, so we've toured the globe, looked at billions of dollars projected for desks and chairs. What does this all mean for you listening?
Well, I think the big takeaway is that this isn't just about furniture.
Right.
These numbers, this growth, it's a tangible sign of a global focus on education. The key drivers we've seen everywhere, building more schools, adapting spaces for digital learning, governments investing heavily, they all point to this shared understanding.
And understanding that the physical space really matters for learning.
Exactly. It shows how seriously societies are taking the need to create effective, modern learning environments. We're investing significantly in the physical places where we're preparing the next generation.
It's fascinating how something seemingly mundane, like classroom furniture, can actually be such a powerful indicator of these huge global shifts in education and investment.
It really is.
And it leaves us with a final thought for you to consider. As these learning spaces keep evolving, becoming more flexible, more tech-integrated, how do you think that will ultimately change what future generations learn and how they learn it?
Welcome back to the deep dive. I'm really excited today. We're going to dive into a topic that, well, it might seem quite specific at first, but trust me, its impact is enormous. We're talking about the rapidly evolving educational furniture and furnishings market. Our mission, as always, is to quickly pull out the key insights from the material you've showed. And for this deep dive, our main source is Cognitive Market Research. They're a really trusted name for data-backed market insights. Okay, so let's unpack this. We're going to explore how design, technology, and, well, the whole philosophy of education are converging, how they're shaping the classrooms of tomorrow. Now, you probably already get that educational furniture is more than just desks and chairs. It's fundamental. But what cognitive market research really digs into is how profoundly these choices are shaping things. Not just comfort right now, but long-term cognitive development, and even the way teaching happens tomorrow. It's genuinely fascinating.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, right? The decisions made about, say, classroom layout, the furniture itself, they profoundly influence how effectively knowledge gets transferred, how students absorb it, and ultimately how well students can actually thrive in those spaces. It's much more strategic than just finding a place to sit.
So, okay, what's driving this huge transformation? Cognitive market research points to, first off, a really significant push. Global investment in educational infrastructure. We're seeing governments, private institutions too, really ramping up investments, especially in emerging economies. Think India, Brazil, parts of Africa. But here's the interesting bit. It's not just about building more schools. It feels like a quiet revolution in how we think about education itself. The investment isn't only in, bricks and mortar. It's in engineering these optimal learning environments, outfitting them with smart modular ergonomic furniture, stuff that actually supports digital learning.
Exactly. And what's really compelling there is it's not simply about adding more seats. It's about building better, smarter environments that are really fit for the digital age we're in now. This investment, it signals a fundamental shift in educational thinking, moving past those traditional models.
Something that really struck me in the report looking at this whole market shift. It's the focus on student well-being. There's this heightened awareness around student health, ergonomics, and frankly, it feels like it's about time. Institutions are increasingly choosing furniture that promotes good posture, comfort, long-term physical health. It's not just about being comfy in the moment, is it?
Not at all. And it makes you ask, okay, why does a chair matter beyond just comfort? Well, the answer, and the data supports this, is that it directly impacts academic outcomes,
Wow.
by reducing fatigue and distraction.
Yeah.
The source highlights a notable surge in demand for adjustable desks, chairs with lumbar support, flexible seating options. Across the board, K-12 and higher ed too. It's a direct link. Physical comfort, cognitive performance, measurable.
Okay. Right. And given that focus on well-being and outcomes, it's maybe not surprising that technology is the next big driver here. I mean, you really can't talk about modern education without bringing in tech, can you? The rise of smart classrooms, hybrid learning, virtual ed, it's all driving demand for furniture that works with these changes. We're talking about things like desks with built-in charging ports, maybe AV integrated teaching stations, where a teacher can easily project from anywhere, or manage student screens, and those mobile collaboration pods, too.
Yeah, and these aren't just nice-to-haves anymore. They're rapidly becoming necessities. Schools trying to stay ahead, or honestly even just keep up, are finding this integrated furniture is pretty essential. Essential for providing those dynamic learning experiences students expect now and, you know, actually need. But it's not all smooth sailing. Every big leap forward hits some bumps, right? And this market's no different. One significant hurdle, highlighted by cognitive market research, is the high cost, especially for the premium stuff, the ergonomic, the tech-enabled furniture. While these products, sure, they offer long-term value, that upfront cost, it can be a real deal breaker. Especially true for public schools, rural institutions, places maybe in lower income regions where budgets are already stretched incredibly thin.
That cost barrier sounds huge, particularly for public schools. It kind of reminds me of, trying to buy a good ergonomic chair for home. You know, it's worth it, but wow, that sticker price. Does the research give any sense of how schools are navigating that, or are they just sort of stuck, maybe finding creative financing?
Well, often the reality is they're forced to compromise or delay really essential upgrades. And adding to that difficulty is the procurement process itself. It can be like lengthy, bureaucratic, especially in public education systems. Think about it. All the red tape, the fixed budget cycles, complex tenders, it can hold up furniture upgrades for years. So then that limits modernization even when the need is clearly there. The system struggles to keep pace with innovation. And then there's this other tricky issue, standardization, or the lack of it, really. Every region, sometimes even districts, they have their own classroom sizes, their own teaching methods, different infrastructure limits. That diversity, it really complicates mass production for the manufacturers. And inevitably, it bumps up the costs. It makes scaling up, distributing the furniture much harder than in other sectors. A one-size-fits-all approach just doesn't fly here.
Okay, so despite those hurdles, it sounds like the market is still buzzing with some really exciting forward-thinking trends. One of the biggest seems to be this shift towards flexible modular learning environments. Schools are genuinely reimagining classrooms, transforming them from, static rows into dynamic spaces, spaces that can adapt easily, group work 1 minute, solo study the next, maybe teacher-led instruction after that. Things like mobile whiteboards, desks you can reconfigure, foldable seats. They're becoming staples in these adaptable spaces.
And another major driver that's gaining real traction, particularly in North America and Europe, is sustainability. Institutions are increasingly looking for and prioritizing eco-friendly materials. Things like bamboo, recycled plastics, FSC-certified wood. That's wood from responsibly managed forests, Green certifications aren't just a nice little bonus anymore. They're often becoming a core requirement. Environmental goals are getting tied much more directly into those procurement policies we talked about.
That sounds good, definitely. But given the budget issues we just covered, is eco-friendly really a top priority for most schools, or is it still maybe more talk than action, according to the source?
Well, the research does indicate a growing commitment, especially maybe in institutions with a bit more budget flexibility or those facing strong public or student pressure. Yes, it can add to upfront costs, but the long-term value, the public perception piece, that's often seen as worth the investment for many.
Okay. And finally, there's this deeply important trend, isn't there? A growing focus on customized solutions, specifically for students with special educational needs, SEN. Things like adjustable desks, sensory-friendly workstations, genuinely inclusive design. It's becoming integral to planning now. And this shift, it seems, largely fueled by changing policies, new regulations aimed at improving accessibility, making sure education settings are truly inclusive for every student. Okay, so to kind of wrap things up, the educational furniture and furnishings market is clearly going through a really vibrant, dynamic transformation.
Absolutely. It's being driven by these big forces.
Yeah.
Major infrastructure upgrades, innovation in ergonomics, all that smart tech integration. Yet, as we've discussed, challenges remain. Cost pressures, those bureaucratic delays, regional complexities, they're still critical hurdles.
But the trends definitely seem clear. The future points towards learning environments that are more adaptable, more sustainable, and importantly, more inclusive for everyone.
Which really raises an interesting final question, something for you to think about. As our understanding of learning itself keeps evolving, how might these very tangible shifts, the actual furniture in the classroom, not just support learning, but actively shape it? Shape the skills, the interactions students need for their futures? Could these physical spaces actually influence how they learn, how they collaborate, long after they've left school?
Fascinating. Well, we hope this deep dive gave you some really interesting insights, maybe a few aha moments to take away. Keep those questions coming and keep exploring.